Hello and welcome. Yes, it is time for the final 10. This saga has been not a burden, but it's been stressful getting all of these videos out for this top 100. And I'm not even done with this yet. I've still got the aftermath to do after this one. But yeah, thank you for those who have been watching since the start. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've subscribed to the channel to see more review videos in the future and more top 10s. But yeah, since the start of August, I've been going through my 100 to number 1. So if you are only literally tuning in for the 10 to 1, fair enough. I know a lot of people like to only look at the 10 to 1. But I would love you to go back to the number 100 and see all the way through, to see all these great games that I love to play, just to hear me talk passionately about them all. So you've all been patient for this long. This is my official 10 through 1. My top 10 favourite games as of the beginning of August 2017. There's a lot of games that I've played. There's a lot of games in my collection. There's a lot of games I don't like. But there's plenty more games I do like. And these have been some amazing games to talk about. Some absolutely amazing games. But my top 10, they are something else indeed. In terms of a few little stats, as I said before in the previous video, there's now 2 new entries in this top 10. So 2 new games have skyrocketed all the way to my top 10. On top of that, we have a couple of fallers, we have a couple of steady ones, and we have some little nudges here and there. So I mean, this is a fairly stable top 10, with the biggest mover being the one that you're about to hear in a minute or so. So yeah, these are great games. What ones were new? Which ones have dropped out? Well, hopefully you might have figured some of them out by now. But in case you haven't, time to get on. Let's wrap up this 100 list with my 10 through 1. My number 10 has only elevated in my ranks, having climbed 12 whole places to finally hit my number 10. And so this will be the highest riser you see in this chunk. So what's elevated this one? Well, partially expansions. The more expansions that come out for this game, the more I've enjoyed it. Granted, I wish I could teach it with all the expansions to more people because, well, you gotta treat it as a gateway game to begin with. And even then, I'm hard pressed to call this gateway level. But when I get people who know what they're doing with this game, it is a blast. And I love bringing out at least 2, if not all 3, of the big expansions for this game. I hear there's some anniversary packs coming out soon from Asmodee and Ystemium, so it will be great to have more content for those expansions. But for now, it doesn't really matter if it's base game or not. I highly enjoy this heavy monstrosity that is now, woohoo, 7 Wonders. Yes, 7 Wonders has been on my top 100 ever since I first played the thing, and 7 Wonders was one of the first new games I played when I got back into gaming. In fact, come to think of it, this was the first thing that was taught to me when I went to Portsmouth on board for the first time. It was a expanded 7 Wonders game. Never seen anything like it before, barely even seen drafting out of normal card games. Played it, got taught it, wiped the floor with everybody there. It was a great time, but it opened my eyes to what modern games could do as soon as I thought, yes, this is what I want to do for the next God knows how many years of my life. But 7 Wonders is one of the key, well, probably in looking at this list, the key drafting game of choice for me. This one has you building a civilization, which granted is slightly abstracted, but all your choices of civilizations you've got now with the expansions, you've got the leaders to add on, you've got those city black cards that twist the game in nice ways. I really like the recent expansion to this Babel. Now, others are hit and miss about it. I personally really love the Tower of Babel because people moan about, oh, well, you know, I don't care what he's doing over there, I don't care what he's doing over there. Which, to be fair, with a lot of modern drafting games like Terraforming Mars and a few others, that is actually kind of the case. You're not that fussed about what they're doing on the drafting sense. But with this, because you've got the Tower of Babel, you can basically go, right, this law has been passed and everyone's affected. I'm not collecting blues, all of you are, fine, pay extra for those blues. And these can chop and change and you'll get points for bringing them out as well. What my friends tend to prefer is for me to use the projects, and that's a good expansion as well. You essentially have these cooperative projects which everybody can chime in for, depending on the colour of card. And if you succeed, and if you contributed and the project goes forward, then you get a bonus. But if it fails, if you don't contribute, you get a penalty. It's a cool little neat aspect, doesn't take much extra teaching to get new players in even, so yeah, that expansion is pretty solid. But just in general, I mean, I've played this as the base game with 1 expansion, 2 expansion, 3 expansions. I just love this drafting game. This one has been a keeper. I've got a broken token insert for it now. The box has been brought out quite a lot of times, which is why it's somewhat starting to show its wear and tear. Anybody want to send me a free box? But yeah, love it to bits. The only time I don't enjoy playing this is with 2 players, and that's because, well, we got 7 Wonders Duel that I already mentioned for that. Anything between 3 and 7 though, I enjoy. Although I'm going to side with Tom Vassal's argument that I actually prefer to play this with 3 to 5 players rather than 6 to 7. And that's because I like the push your luck aspect of when you draft, you hope that card's going to come back round to you. Because in a 6 or 7 player game, in a 7 player game, you will not see the rest of your hand ever again. And in a 6 player game, you are unlikely to. 5 players, it could come back, and 3 and 4, there's a good chance it will. But you also have less people to pay attention to. So I just love 7 Wonders. I've played 7 player games of this in 30 minutes at speed level. But even if it takes an hour, I don't care. 7 Wonders is a great drafting game and a staple in every gamer's collection. My number 9 has not moved. This was number 9 last year, it's number 9 this year. It's stayed exactly where it needs to be. And most of you will probably have figured this one out by now because I have mentioned several times that I like the Legendary franchise. I already mentioned Firefly at a much lower number. I then got on to Predator, I then got on to Marvel. And whether you want to argue that some of these are a bit too similar to each other, I think they're different enough that I can go, you know what, there's a reason I like this one over that one, as I've already mentioned with the Predator and Firefly ones particularly. But this is my choice for the best of the Legendary series. Again, lots of cards, so it's very heavy. Alien Legendary. I love the Alien franchise. Granted, the Alien franchise does slip up on frequent occasions. We don't talk about Alien vs Predator and the sequel. I don't mind Alien 3 Director's Cut. Alien Resurrection was a bit of a joke, and Prometheus was a load of rubbish. The second one was Alien Covenant. I have not watched, but I'm not exactly looking forward to that time, but I guess I'll acquire it at some point. But for me, the Alien franchise was basically 3 different things. It was the first 2 movies, which were fantastic. I still think the first movie is the best horror film of all time, and the second film is just glorious cheesy action. And the computer games, I think all the Alien Predator style computer games have been great, especially the Alien vs Predator ones. They have been great fun, and if you have not played Alien Isolation now, you need to watch this video, then go download it on your PC and go play it, because it is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And, what's the third other thing? Oh yeah, the books. I don't read now, but a long time ago I used to read a few of the Alien and the Predator books, and I thought they were really cool as well. So even though it does slip up, the Alien franchise just sings well with me. And I love the creatures, I love the horror behind it, and just the style and the look. Alien Legendary basically takes everything I love about Aliens and sticks it into a deck building game. The game is possibly the most thematic deck builder I've ever come across. And I know deck builders are hard to get a theme across. This one just somehow manages it. That hidden aspect works so well with Aliens. The movies that you're playing through as the scenarios all feel like the movies you're playing through. You're setting up sentry guns and aliens. You're trying to escape the underwater levels in Alien Resurrection. You're blowing the main alien out of the airlock in the first one. They fit to the movies so well that you can't help but feel nostalgic for them. The artwork is okay. I mean, it's not the best ever, but there's some cool stuff across a lot of the cards. I mean, the face hugger still freaks me out anyway. It's like, ugh. I hate those things. They scare me to death in a computer game. I hate them in the films. I hate them in this game. It's like, they're scary. Ugh, hate them. But the game is nice, nice and challenging. The expansion added more scenarios, more cards, some difficulty spikes, even a means to play the actual queen which actually plays fairly well. It's not a gimmick like some other games might. I actually quite enjoy the Queen mode in this. But personally, my favourite way to play this is how it was meant to be, which is a full cooperative experience. Pick a movie, even if you want to split the objectives apart, I don't mind. Pick some characters, and let's go. But this has got to have one of the best ways you can die in a co-op game ever. If you know nothing about aliens, then this is going to be completely lost on you, I'm afraid, sorry. But the chest bursters in here. You have the facehugger cards, and if you can't get rid of them by the end of your next player's turn, you get infected with the chest burster. So you know what's coming if you know the Alien franchise. But you then have this card in your deck, the chest burster, which goes in your discard, goes into your deck, and then when it comes out by any means, and you die. And that's awesome! I know that sounds horrific and nasty, but no other co-op game makes you die in such a thematic and engrossing way. The fact that you can get a chest burster in you but still carry on. You're not instantly dead, but it's a ticking time bomb. How much do you want to draw cards? How big is your deck? Do you just want to buy card after card after card, hoping that your deck's huge by the time it's there? And the tension is there all the way through, especially if you have got that ticking time bomb inside you. And, like I said, this one just works with the theme. The theme is very strong in this. Yes, okay, Legendary has come up with a lot of different IPs for its system, but this one handles it the best from a thematic perspective. Hands down, no other even comes close. So, Alien Encounters, Legendary, whatever order you want to put the names in, number 9, staying true at number 9. So, my number 8, this is the first of the new entries on this list, all the way to number 8, and it's not even the highest of the new entries. This game, though, I don't even know if I even started playing it until earlier this year, I think. I think I was quite late to the party, but, maybe it was slightly before that, I forget. But this one is my Cthulhu game, not my Cthulhu game of choice technically, but this one is just a fantastic immersive storytelling experience. This one is a long game, but it's just the best app implementation for a game to date, bar none. XCOM used to be, now it's this one. And Fantasy Flight does a fantastic job with, a lot of the components and art in it. Granted, the minis could be slightly better, but it's a minor deal. I like the art better. But the immersion factor, where you have the music, the backing, all the app handles, all the bookkeeping, you just get involved in the mystery and the story. Of course, you know what I'm on about. It is, this giant box. Mansions of Madness 2nd edition. The 1st edition would not have a chance in iota of getting on this list. I've played it. It was okay. My God, was it fiddly. My God, was it weird to get taught it. And the fact that it could be broken at a moment's notice, really wasn't sitting well. It was okay, but it was like a 6, I think at best. It's like, not going to get it, too much for it, didn't care. When they said they were doing a reprint of it though, it's like, okay, alright, this could work. Fantasy Flight do well on their reprints, as I've said before, like with Mission Red Planet. And then they said, but we're also using an app which will handle the bookkeeping and help keep the immersion factor going. Sign me up. And what a fantastic job they did. This is utterly brilliant if you want an immersive storytelling, Cthulhu experience. There may be another one on the list a little bit later in terms of Cthulhu, but I think this is the most immersive of all the Cthulhu games. This one is just literally play through this great deductive mystery, which can be anything from seeking out particular monsters to whodunit stories to multi-locations. It's almost like you can play it as a solo dungeon crawl in a sense. It's not just simply you in this house all the time. You might go in the house for one bit, and then the next part of the scenario might have you go out to Innsmouth Docks or something. There's a good amount of scenarios for it now with expansions. You've now got lots of investigators and monsters. People are doing downloadable content for this game, like fan-made scenarios, which are cool to go through. And this is Fantasy Flight. They're going to be keeping this going for a long time. But the fact that the locations change every game means that it won't get samey, at least not for a long, long time. Yes, okay, the plot doesn't change. You know you're doing a whodunit. You know you're seeking this particular cultist out, but the locations will switch up. So you'll think, okay, so would it be in here though? Oh, it was actually there this time. Just enough to make it a little bit fresher in your mind. But of course, for a new player, they're getting a completely new experience. App does the music, does the combat. In fact, that's actually one of the best things I like. Like when you click on the app to do the combat, it's not just simply, you roll 3 5s, you hit 2 damage. No, not boring like that. Here though, you select what type of attack, so melee, range, spell, whatever, and then it has a little story narrative as to what you did. So it's like, you rushed the cultist and you swept, you uppercut him and then swept his legs or something like that. It tells you what you're doing, so you can almost picture it like a movie. And the horror factors are pretty good in this as well. When you've got to do a horror check against monsters, it's not just simply, it spooks you. Take 3 horror. No. This one actually goes into fairly graphic detail as to what some of the nasty stuff that these horrors do and what happens during the Mythos phase. So all through it, it feels like one giant Cthulhu home movie. And that's why I love it. It's just so great an experience. It is long. Yes, I'm not going to deny that. It's a very long game. Hence, I tend to play this solo more often than not. But occasionally bringing this out for 3 or 4 people is good fun because everybody gets into the theme. Everybody role plays it. This is definitely one to consider if you are into horror RPGs, horror dungeon crawls, that kind of thing. Or if you just love Cthulhu and you want the most immersive Cthulhu experience that there is. Look no further. Mansions of Madness, new all the way to my top 10. My number 7 has fallen slightly, but not too much. 3 places. It's still in my top 10. Anything that falls at this point really is not saying much because it's still in my top 10 favourite games of all time. This one is on that borderline of whether I call it gateway or not. I think there's more meat to this than meets the eye to say, okay, it's not quite a gateway experience, but it's definitely close. I have the deluxe version sitting up there out of sight, which was, I got it pretty cheaply for what it was, but yeah, it was a bit of an investment. You will have seen the mascot for this game floating around a lot of my videos as part of the intros. Yep, old little panda dude here. In fact, let's just put you there for a moment. Yes, of course, it is Takenoko. Let's see if we can put it there, and there you go, little panda, there you go. Yeah, Takenoko. Some of you are probably rolling your eyes thinking, what? Takenoko? Top 10? Yes, because every time I play this, I have fun. It is a fantastic game. Looks beautiful, and this doesn't even take into fact that I have the deluxe version. I bring the deluxe out version mainly for people who come around here to play the game, so that I can bring it out on the table, or Dice Portsmouth events, because it's a showpiece. It's like a centerpiece for the entire event to have the deluxe Takenoko out. But people could come around here and I'll happily bring this out. Still going strong. The expansion elevated it to a whole new level with chibis, the panda babies that you can get and the new objectives, the new tiles. Didn't overcomplicate the game, it just brought in more of the good stuff and one simple mechanic. And a cute little female panda miniature. But there's just something about this. This is one of my top Zen games that exists. Every time I play this I just feel a bit, I like bears. There's something about bears, I don't know, but there's something about it's such a light-hearted game. But you're not autopilot. You've got to think about, right, okay, he's doing that, I could do this, I've got to, what weather do I get on the die this round? Should I go for these objectives, these ones? Do I need to draw more? You've only got 2 actions a turn, you wish you had 3. And every garden will appear different every game, and it just looked great on the board with the wooden bamboo trees and colourful tiles. Everybody comes by and looks at it and is like, ooh, more like an ape, looking over to see what it is. Love it. I've got my panda mascot. I've got the deluxe version. I love this game. It's dropped 3 places, but that's not saying much. It was number 4 last year. It's number 7 this year. I get a kick out of teaching this to somebody they can be new gamers, but they're comfortable with something a little bit tougher than the average, say, Sushi Go, for example. But, that's why I'm not confident that this is a gateway game because I think there's a little bit too much to it for that, but like I say, still love it. Hits my bag fairly often. Prefer to play it with the expansions, certainly, but even base game I'm happy to. Dice Portsmouth love me for bringing the deluxe set along. This is in my collection for life. It's gonna stay that way. Isn't that right, Panda? My number 7. My number 6 has climbed a single place, literally remaining steady. This is not my favourite co-op game, you'll have to wait a little bit longer, but there's something about it. In fact, saying that, looking at this list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 co-ops are in my top 10. Granted, some of them I play solo mainly, but they're still co-op games. There's just something about them. They provide me the most fun in groups, they're ones that I can teach to new players, for the most part, and they just give me a huge dollop of theme whenever I need it. You know, there's not many dry co-ops out there, and if there are, chances are they're not in my collection or in my top 100. You know, certainly the thematic co-ops will stand a good chance. This one, though, was the first game I ever reviewed on the Broken Meeple, and it's not up on my top 10 just because of nostalgia, even though I do like nostalgia. But this one has always been one of my favourite co-ops. It's so easy to teach to gateway gamers, and if you've got kids there, I can even reduce the rules down to the family version to make it even simpler. But most people that are new to games will easily get into this one, and because the theme is solid and strong, and something true to real life that people can get behind, Flashpoint Fire Rescue works so well in pretty much any situation with anything from myself to 6 players. I've got a load of content for this now. This is just the base game box, and I think this holds, what does this have? Yeah, this has got nothing but boards in it. And I don't even have room in this for all the boards. There's all these boards, all these, and there's 2 more that can't fit in a box because the other box to this has got tokens and various other things in it. So I am patiently waiting for, or, well, depending when this video goes out, either waiting for or already received, that's the problem with time-lapse in videos, for the Broken Token crate. I asked Board Game Extras to get me one of them for, I was about to say for Christmas, no. You know, I ordered one from them, it's on its way, can't wait, and that's going to hold everything I have to do with Flashpoint Fire Rescue, which means that I don't have to put up with the slightly tatty warm box after this point. Bear in mind, I've had this since I started the Broken Meeples. What's that, 4 years now? Give it a break. But, love this one. The theme is super strong, people get behind the firefighting, but it's so simple to teach and play, yet it's also very challenging if you put it on the higher difficulties. And I love the fact that this game means that you can't be complacent. There are some co-ops where you can sort of go, yeah, well, we'll be fine, yeah, we're in a good spot, I don't think we'll lose. Don't say that when you play this game, because it can go from good to bad to catastrophically bad to death in a short space of time. And all to do with the fire. And people sometimes scoff at it going, well, it's random, you know, roll randomly for the fire. Well, yes, it's fire. What do you think? It's random. You can't predict fire. Why do you think fire is such a dangerous thing in life? It's works so well thematically for this. You know, you might be like, yep, okay, you know, we've got rid of most of the fire, it's okay. Then it takes a little bit of smoke. Then a lot of smoke chains. Then it all catches fire. Then it explodes, and then it all goes completely wrong. You can't rest in this. You must keep going and going and going. And I've had a fair share of wins and losses through this game. You know, if anything, maybe more losses, because I do tend to play this at, you know, at least veteran difficulty, if not heroic difficulty. And some maps are even harder than others. You know, the submarine can be a bit of a pain trying to keep the control panel alive, otherwise you blow up and die anyway. It's just such a blast for me. Love it. One of my favourite co-ops, but now my favourite co-op, my number 6. Still remaining strong, climbing one whole single place. Flashpoint Fire Rescue. Well, I hope you can still see me alright, guys. It's getting darker outside, the batteries on some of these lights are starting to get a little bit faded, but I think you can still see me fine looking at myself in the video screen there. Now, my number 5. It's climbed a whole 3 places since last year. Last year was its new entry at that point. I was about to say new debut again. I'm trying not to use that phrase. But this one is probably, in fact, no, it was. It was my favourite game from 2016. Everybody goes on and on about Terraforming Mars and Great Western Trail. If you enjoy them, great. I don't mind Terraforming Mars, but it's got some problems I don't like about it. I don't like Great Western Trail. I think it's average. But if you love it, great. Play it. I hope it's good for you. My chosen pick, though, for 2016, and granted, there is another game from 2016 actually slightly higher on this list, but at the time, this is definitely what it was. And, oh, here we go. You want to exercise, be a board gamer, alright? Here we go. Oh my god. Woo! Scythe. Scythe. Oh, the huge monstrosity that is Scythe. I'm going to have to try and hold it like this. This has got the expansion in it. I've already, I'm definitely getting the, was it Invaders? No, that was the current one. The one with the airships, the one that's coming out. I forget its name. But, oh yes. I've got a proper insert for this one. Again, can't not Broken Token. They do some great inserts. But full insert, everything stored, all the stuff pimped out. This is a collector's version, so it doesn't have the art book. I don't tend to go mad for the art books, but it's got the decent miniatures, the realistic resources, the metal coins, everything. This is pimped out. And I love it. I love how each of the factions plays out very differently in terms of their strategy. Cool, that's going to dent the table. I love how depending what factions are in the game will influence how you act. Are they next to you? Are they likely to be quicker at this than you? I like the encounter cards where some people will actually just read out the choices and that's it, or just do the reward. No, I want to tell you what's happening in that picture. I want to tell you that this picture resembles me approaching an old lady with her sheep on a street road, and we've got to help her do this or something. Come on, theme, people, theme, immersion, roleplay. But it just looks gorgeous. The artwork is sublime across a lot of the cards. I love this whole kind of alternate history mixed with mechs. That don't get into your head that this is one of those mechs fighting each other futuristic games. No, it's a resource management game. It's a Euro. The combat is more of a deterrent than anything else in this, but occasionally you will get into combat with other players and you need to be prepared for that. But the way that the mechanics work with your player board and the fact that your player board and your faction board will differ every time, and all these combinations of faction boards and starting boards will differ on how you play and what sort of things you can go for. I love how there's a lot of paths to victory. You can choose what stars you want to get out for the objectives. You might even just ignore objectives entirely and just say, you know what, I'm going to go out and kill everything. I'm just going to sit here and build up a nice chunk of resources and my own little, my own little village here. I'm going to go out and seek every single encounter card I can find. I'm just going to go deck over the blue player because I just don't like him. There's all sorts you can do with this. It's got a great backstory to it. It's can't say much else good about it. It's just I love playing this one, and it's not that long. I mean, you can get some people who might AP with it, but I have actually played a 7-player game of this in 90 to 100 minutes. I mean, some people may have even done faster than that, but I have. If you've got people who know what they're doing with this game, this can go really fast for what the game entails. And with less players, it will be usually even quicker if that's the case. Teaching new players is a bit more of a challenge, but they get into it, they enjoy it, and then they think, oh, that was good fun. Right, I want to play that again, and this time I'll know exactly what I'm doing. Or will you? Because I'm still learning bits about factions in here. My personal favourite is the yellow one, the Chimera faction, I think it's called. The ones who can trade combat cards for resources. I don't think I've lost a game with them yet. I just seem to really do well with that resource management side of things. I've yet to win a single game with blue. Blue I just can't get. And I admit, I think they are one of the hardest factions to use. Not unbalanced, calm down. Just one of the hardest to get into. And yeah, I just can't seem to get into blue style. It's not that I do badly, but I don't ever win. It's like, I need to get them just right. But you've got 7 in here now. Will there be more factions later? I don't know. Doesn't really matter. I think the 7 we've got here are pretty perfect. I just want some new miniatures that you can build, some more resources you can get, more of those encounter cards, please, and more ways to get hold of them. I don't know. more ways to win even. But even if they don't, there's so much in this box. It's in pretty good condition actually, considering I've been bringing it out a few times. All pimped up, love it, heavy, and if I want to do some weights later on, then I could always just, alright, just lift this up and down a few times and it will work. So, I better get on to the next number, but yes, my chosen top pick, top well-designed game of 2016 was Scythe. This number 4 is the second new entry to this list and this chunk of 10, which means it is the highest new entry on the entire top 100, and it is a folder. Yeah, I'm not trolling. Little problem with this one. It's in a box and I can't be bothered to get it off the top of the shelf because it's a rather big wooden box, courtesy of, I think, Octal Power I bought the insert for. But if I'm able to open this divider and show you, some of you might recognise some of those cards in there. If not, you'll see the picture on the screen in just a second. But this is Arkham Horror, the card game. I'm a fan of the LCG model. Now, okay, the LCG model is not perfect, but compared to a CCG model, I much prefer it. Yes, it's a money sink. You could sink a lot of money into these LCGs, but at least you know what you're getting. At least I know when I buy this pack, it has these cards in it. None of this whole, I must chase down this rare, otherwise I'm, effectively nerfed out of every tournament and everybody laughs at me or something. Yeah. I've seen a lot of players that are like that, trust me. CCG history has been hit and miss to say the least. But LCGs I love, and co-op ones especially, because the co-op ones, even if you can't keep up with the releases, you could just play it at your own pace. As long as you enjoy it, what does it matter? And the co-op ones, you could teach to new players, and it doesn't matter if they don't know the decks. It's like, here is this deck. It works like this. You're going to help me, so I want you to do well. You can't do something like, Netrunner. Spoiler alert, it fell off the list. We'll get onto that in the aftermath. But, you can't do that with something like Netrunner because you could say, well, here's this deck. I know exactly how it works. You don't. I'm going to cream you now. Good luck. Not as fun, especially for the new player. And you have to keep up with tournament metas in those sort of games. Here though, even if I fell behind, well, I'm up to date at the moment, but even if I fell behind, I could just play whatever scenarios I want. But this is another really immersive Cthulhu game. Not as immersive as Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition. I think that one has the leg up. But this one though, for a card game, does a pretty sweet job of immersion. The story elements in this are so much better than a lot of other card games out there. The scenarios have multiple choices of how you want to progress through the story, and if you play campaign mode, your choices early on affect things that happen in future scenarios. It's a great way to play an immersive storytelling LCG. The artwork is fantastic. Even the deck building is not that difficult in this. Because a lot of games have like 50 card decks and you can have 3 copies, 4 copies of everything, and it's like, I don't know what about or how to do it. Here though, your starting deck is only around 30 cards and you can't have more than 2 copies of anything. So it makes you use more cards, more different cards, and 2 of something. Most of the time you will know what you desperately want 2 of. And then 1 ofs, you may or may not see. But during the campaign, you'll add more cards to your deck anyway, and so your deck gradually gets bigger, but that chaos bag that you're pulling out tokens can progressively get nasty as well. The scenarios have so far been pretty varied. I mean, there's some sort of rinse-repeat ones, but they're generally all really entertaining to play. Some in particular are fantastic to play, and I haven't even played every scenario yet. I've done the campaign mode, but I've got a couple of the standalone ones, Curse of Ragaroo or something, and Carnival of Horrors, the ones that you got from conventions. Haven't even played those yet. I will get round to it. Maybe this weekend I'll bring it out, actually. I've got some spare time. But I look forward to it. I look forward to the next expansion. I look forward to new cards. There's so many investigators I can do. I mean, what have I got in here? Schizo Tool, Daisy Walker, Wendy Adams, Zoe Samaras, Rex Murphy, Jim Culver, Roland Banks. All these famous investigators that you know from the Cthulhu mythos are in this game, or hopefully will be in this game. It is a fantastic LCG, but is it my favourite LCG? Wait and see. That is my number 4, the highest new entry to the top 100, Arkham Horror, the card game. Yeah, it is getting really rather dark out there, so yeah, like I say, hope you can still see me. So think of it as like the eclipse is appearing or something, the closer we get to number 1. I don't know, I can only control the weather so much. My number 3 has dropped 1 place. It was my number 2 last year. It is now my number 3. Whoop-de-doo. It's still my favourite Euro game of all time. It is. Yeah, the next 2 are not Euro games, or at least I wouldn't call them Euro games. So this is definitely my pick. It is Stonemaire's finest game they've put out. It is their finest design, in my opinion. And it is the great thematic orange box with Viticulture in it. With Viticulture and Tuscany in it. Yep, this is the collector's box. Everything I need to play this game is in the Viticulture box. Tuscany basically holds the stuff I don't use from Tuscany. But, oh yes, love this one. This is, it sings to me with the theme. I love wine. I like drinking wine. So a winemaking game, worked with Vinyos, works with this as well. But this one is just so much easier to get to the table because it's a lot easier to teach. It's not a light Euro, it's midweight. But there's enough, you've got to make choices. There's that worker placement tension. There's not so much that you can't possibly do everything, but then there's not so little that it's like, oh great, well, it doesn't matter what you do, I could just go here. No, you've got to, turn order is important. You've got to fight for those spaces, but you are starting from the ground up. You're getting vines, you're planting them, you're creating grapes, you're turning those grapes into wine, you're shipping them off for, money and points. And you could do this in whatever way you like. Do you want red wine, white wine, red wine, rosé, sparkling? Do you want cheap wines? Do you want high quality wines? Do you want to give lots of tasting tours? Do you want to just take your time with the planting of vines? The orange structure cards from Tuscany or Viticulture Essentials, I think they're in there as well. You could win this game without making wine. I've done that. I had a cafe and a restaurant and all I did was do that for the game. It was fun. It was great to roleplay it. But I actually managed to win with it without having to properly create wine. The structures give you other paths to victory, alternate ways to play. The visitor cards with the expansion and the more visitors one that I think the Uwe Rosenberg designed expansion are nice and varied. They give you choices. So yes, okay, you might pull one that isn't always useful for you, but majority of the time you're going to. You can't just rely on them for victory. There's all sorts of cool components in here, like all the wooden pieces for your buildings, your meeples, the little beads for the grapes and the wine. Granted, okay, there's some points where the theme gets a little out of hand. The whole grapes aging at the same rate as wine, that doesn't quite work thematically, but it works from a mechanical level. But I just love this one. It's another Zen game for me. It calms me when I play it. I actually just played this the other night, actually. Monday. I took it to my game night. People wanted to learn it. Played a 4-player game of this. We all had a blast. I won the game, but that's not uncommon when I'm teaching it. But it was quite close. It was quite tense between me and at least 2 other players. And it's just such a great game. Love it. Number 2 last year and number 3 this year. Only because it's so hard to juggle my 2, 3 and 4 really on this list. And my number 1. Oh, did I spoil already? Well, we'll see. But love it. Love this one. Viticulture, preferably with Tuscany. When I had Viticulture on this list originally, it was only in my 40s, I think. Tuscany elevated it all the way up to number 2 last year. It's now number 3. This is still my all-time favourite Euro game. Credit goes to my number 3, Viticulture. My number 2 has the exact same problem as number 4 did. It's difficult to really pull out a big wooden box for it. But maybe I can just grab one of the folders up here so you can see what I'm on about. Here we go. Whoa, don't collapse. Here we go. Lord of the Rings, the card game, is my number 2 favourite game of all time. And yes, if you think you can see them, then This is just one folder of cards. I've got the encounter cards in another. I've got encounter cards in a box. I've got player cards in another binder, because there's a lot of cards for Lord of the Rings, the card game now. And this is my favourite LCG ever. This was my first LCG even. You know, the Lord of the Rings theme is super strong in this, and it's not just the movies, although I must admit these movie saga expansions are my favourites to play, but even the stuff that's just based on the Tolkien storyline. It's great thematic immersion. The scenarios are really varied in this. You know, you could be sailing a ship, escaping a horde fleet of corsairs, one thing. You could be diving into a dungeon, you know, seeking a lost artifact from a dwarven mine. You could be just simply fighting a giant kraken that just happened to come out of the lake at you whilst you were questing. Or you could go for the movies and do everything that the movies did. So you can outrun the Black Riders, you can fight at Helm's Deep, you can tackle Shelob, who has so far eaten me every time I go up against Shelob. Curse you, Shelob! Hate spiders, she's my nemesis. But, and in fact, actually, saying that, this is one of the few games that gives me actual heart attacks. Yes, proper heart attacks. I know that's not a good thing to say about a game, but it's something to do with the artwork in this. The artwork in this is great across the range, and granted, Tolkien's universe likes to use spiders, so yeah, this game likes to scare the living snot out of me with some of the scenarios where you are going up against hordes of the things. Hate them. Hate them. But the game itself, wonderfully thematic. It's not the easiest one to deck build for, I admit. 50 cards, 3 copies of everything. Takes a little bit of time, but to be honest, even with Arkham Horror, I prefer to what's called net deck, which is you go online to, in that case, arkhamdb.com, in this case, ringsdb.com, and there's a community which are very friendly. I mean, that's one thing to say, the LCG community is one of the friendliest communities you can find for card games and board games in general, because everybody wants to help each other. Nobody's at each other's throats. Nobody's competitive. And in this, you go online, people have published decks, they explain how they work, there's bloggers who have done it. You know, I haven't got the time to go into the intricacies of how to make the perfect deck. I prefer to go to an expert, find one that's thematic, like all dwarves, all hobbits, or all horse riding, whatever, and then go at it. Love it. Absolutely love this LCG. It is tough as nails at times. There are some scenarios I've played I've not even beaten. And I haven't even played every scenario to date. In fact, I'm falling behind. There's a lot to get through games-wise, and this is one that's accelerating faster than I can play it. Who cares? Like I said, it's a co-op. If people want to learn it, I can teach them it. If I want to fall behind and just take my time, I can. I'll catch up eventually, but it's not like I'm missing out. You know, it's not like I haven't got enough content to keep me going. It's just solid. It's there. When I want to play it, I have such a blast. You make such good tactical decisions in this game. You might be on the back foot for a while, but then you build up and you push through. That's one thing I like about a lot of co-ops, where you start off on the back foot and build up and then conquer. It's like you rose up against, you know, a greater enemy. And in here, it's the same sort of deal. Whether I want to be hobbits, dwarves, elves, treebeard, you know, Aragorn, anything. I just love it. It's such a great game. Probably my favourite solo game that I love to play. You know, not my favourite game, there's still one left, but certainly this one is my solo game of choice. If I've got nothing else I want to do, nothing else that I can pull off, it's like, right, you must play only one solo game, and that's all you can do tonight. And you've got all the time you need to play it, no restriction, just you're only going to play one solo game tonight. Lord of the Rings, the card game, is the one for me. My choice for the best LCG out there, my second favourite game of all time. Lord of the Rings, the card game. My number one favourite game of all time. Dan, dan, dan! Yeah, I think most of you called it. You saw this coming, I think. Those of you who knew my list last year, those of you locally who know me, you knew this was coming. If you're new to what I like though in games and you've not seen any of my previous lists, I hope this is still a surprise to you. But, like I say, if you know me at all, chances are You've heard me talk about this game, whether I'm playing it in card game version, or playing it on the app, or playing it on Steam. Love this game so much. It is the quintessential superhero game out there. No other game gives me such a strong superhero theme or flavour as this one does. The level of bookkeeping in it is high, yes, but I've gotten used to it. It takes a bit of time, but you get used to it. And there's companion apps to help you through it, or you could just play the App or Steam version and all that's taken care of anyway. The artwork fits the comic book styling perfectly. Okay, it's not gonna win awards, but it's not bad artwork, it's just comic book style, bright, cartoony artwork. And it works perfect. When I play this game, I feel like I am this comic book hero. You know, I have my deck of cards, it is my deck of cards. This is my hero, this deck is tailored specifically to my hero. I play completely differently to this player across the table who has that hero with their deck. And we all work together, it is a co-op, I love co-ops, and fight the big evil bad guy. There is so much variety to this game, it's unreal. I have a kickstarted expansion which is taking its sweet time, I'll admit. But I want them to get it perfect. It's going to be the swan song for this game. It's going to have a big storage box. I can't wait to show that off to everybody when I get it. I've got a big canvas print as part of the Kickstarter. It's all signed. I splashed out like crazy on it, I must admit. Was that wise? I don't know, but hey, you know, I love this game. It has been behind me the entire top 100 list. And it is. Woohoo! Let's see. No, it's not the secret. It is actually Food Chain Magnate, which is right at... No, of course it's not Food Chain Magnate. Honestly, do you know me well at all? Here we go. It is. Oh. And finally... Oh, God. Ugh. Yes. Sentinels and the Multiverse. My favourite co-op. My favourite game. My favourite superhero game. I just want to sleep here right now. I love this one. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. I can understand that. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, the Mark Cook, the guy who runs Aircon, you say, we're good buddies, we get on well. He hates this game. I know he hates this game. I don't mind. We jest about it all the time. You know, I don't like some games he loves. That's what people are like. We love different types of games. We're all entitled to our opinion on whether you like or dislike a game, as long as you understand that the other people can still like and enjoy that game. That's what makes this hobby great, and that's how people should act towards each other in that regard. But this is Sentinels of the Multiverse. I've got the base set, I've got Rook City and Relics, I've got all the small box expansions, I've got the promos, I think I've got every promo, at least I think I have. I've got Villains of the Multiverse, I've got the, what was it called? I forget what the first one was actually, but well, both expansions had the villains in it. And when I get Oblivion, which is the Kickstarter I was talking about, I'm going to have every single promo I was missing out on, which I'm not sure how many there are, but there might have been one or two. But I'm going to have all these new heroes. We're going to be able to fight in this big battleground, like almost like Avengers Infinity War style, against one giant boss, like the Thanos equivalent. Oh my god, I can't wait. Please hurry up, going to the games and bring it out. I want it so badly. But this one just gives me the biggest kick I need for playing a superhero themed game. It's just so much fun. I love it. I don't even know where to put these on here because of the weird light. There we go, that's better. I just love it. When I play this game with people, granted, not everyone likes it, but the vast majority of people I play this with get into this game, they roleplay their character, the teamwork is solid teamwork. You have to work together. There is no Lone Ranger in this. You can't have one player who goes up and takes the boss all by themselves. Everybody must work together, and you must use the abilities of your character to their fullest. You know, I might be the tank, taking the hits, resilience. That player over there might be the one actually dishing out the damage. This person over here might be manipulating the deck so we don't get any really nasty surprises. This one might be healing. This one might bring out a lot of allies. They're so different, and I love how they parody the Marvel and DC villains and heroes. Legacy is basically Captain America and Superman rolled into one. Bunker is Iron Man. Hucker is Hulk. Tachyon is the Flash. The Wraith is Batman. It's essentially, some of them are parodies, some of them are unique, but a lot of them will play on these really well-known heroes. And that's the way I get people into the game. They say, well, which character should I pick? Well, who's your favourite Marvel and DC hero? I really enjoyed that Ant-Man movie recently. Well, here you go. Here's a hero that does exactly what Ant-Man did. Just works so well. In fact, actually, come to think of it, I think we're missing a Wonder Woman in here. Yeah, I'm not sure there's a hero for Wonder Woman yet. I'll have to double check, but I don't think there is yet. We need one. Promo? Anything? I don't know. But I'm running out of breath, running out of water in my lungs. It's water? Air. Water in my throat. Air in my lungs, otherwise I'm going to have trouble talking. Or breathing, for that matter. But, it's just because I get so excited about this one. Love it. Card game, Steam, app, doesn't matter. Sentinels of the Multiverse has been my favourite game since I played it. The top 75, the top 10, I think I did the top 10 of all time first, then I did 75, then I did 100, and now this 100. It has continuously remained as my favourite game of all time. Will it continuously be my favourite game of all time? I don't know. We'll have to see. If it is, then I'm glad I have a game that I enjoy that much. Tom Vassell has his Cosmic Encounter, Z has his Pandemic, Sam had his Twilight Imperium. He has his Twilight Imperium / Blood Rage, whatever mood he's in. And Eric Summer has his Merchant of Venus. We all have that one game that we just critically like, the one that just gives us the biggest amount of joy when we play that game. For me, it's Sentinels in the Multiverse. Card, electronic, doesn't matter. Love it to bits. My top game ever. Sentinels of the Multiverse. And there you are as the screen darkens, mainly because of fading batteries. But, you can still see me fine, I hope. It's a little darker this video, I do apologise. Technical, but I'm not re-recording that again. It's not happening. I hope you've enjoyed this trip. 100 games that I absolutely love and adore. And all culminating in my top 10 of all time that you've just watched right now. I've enjoyed this. It's stressful to do them all. It's a lot of work to do these videos, but I still enjoy it. I love making the list. I love doing these videos because I get to talk about 100 games that I am passionately in love with, that I just adore. And it gets better and better as I go up through the list. I could have gone to 150 and still talked about another 50 great games I enjoy. Beyond that, maybe it's going more into the okay average category, but there's a lot of games I play and there's a lot of games I love. It's just, gives me a rush when I talk about these games. And I hope you guys have got enough to come up with your own top 10, 50, 25, 100, 1,000, whatever you want to do. Actually, 1,000? God, no way. No way, not doing that. But I love it. I love these games. I love board games. I love the board game community. I love blogging. I love doing this, the video, the podcast, the written reviews. Everything about board gaming I enjoy. Granted, there's blemishes across the way. You'll get the occasional bad apple that you meet out of a great community. You'll find a game that you don't enjoy as much as others. There's always going to be something that might sour your mood or sour your experience. That's common with everything in life. Nothing's perfect. But when things go right for board gaming, it goes right. It's just that good. I don't know. It's that good. I'm going to get emotional. But, like I say, one more video to go. I will talk about the aftermath of this list. So, what I want you guys to do, as well as the typical subscribe to the channel and leave comments and feedback, I want, and yes, I know it's dark, alright, don't leave feedback on that, I'm aware of it. But what I want you to do, guys, now is think about the games that didn't appear on this top 100. Games that you love, games that you've heard me talk about, games that you haven't heard me talk about. Which ones do you think should have been on the list? Do you want to know about some of the games that, fell off the list? Is there a game that you've heard me rave about that somehow didn't appear on the list and you want to know more? Or is there just a game that you love and you're curious to know whether it just missed the list, features in my top 150, or is a game that wouldn't appear anywhere near this list? I will look at the feedback on here, on Facebook, on Twitter, and emails, and I will basically collate them all up and do one last video to talk about those near misses and those far-reaching wishful thinkers. Okay, so that's it from me and this top 100. One more video to go, but as I've said, great community, great games. Whatever you're doing though, at any point during board gaming, just remember, they're still only games. Okay? See you on the Aftermath video. I hope you've enjoyed the trip as much as I have. This was my Broken Meeple Top 100 Games of All Time 2017. I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to preparing more videos for you to enjoy. Take care everyone, and have a great weekend.